God can spot a poser. So to pretend to be somewhere with Christ or in your walk of obedience or anything else, stop. We are where we are.
Hey Mark, how's it going?
It's going really good on this blustery Southern California day where we dip down into the 70s.
Oh God, some kind of Arctic freeze going on?
They say there's a storm coming, but here's the thing, and you know because you lived here, that what when you go on to local news and they say, get ready, storm's coming. We've got some serious rainfall. Go get those sandbags. What they mean is it might rain. That's it. I remember
Get your canoe.
when we first got here and we heard that, we're like, oh, okay, we got to get ready because we come from a place where, yeah, I know, yeah, storm is a storm. You get ready for those things. Southern California storms are, you might get some moisture on your windshield.
Which can also completely make your house go down a landslide.
Yes, yes. Now that actually has some legitimacy because of the fires that we had that you know,
That's true.
wet
That's
soil.
true. Certain areas.
Yeah, but I'm doing good to answer your question.
That's good. Yeah, we just had a couple. Well, last couple of days were like 82 or something, but we had a couple of days in the low 60s, which was really nice.
Oh, that's nice, especially for
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah, yeah, much appreciated weather.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I wanted to talk today about. Remember, you were telling me about that list of 7 essential values. I think you called them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think this will be interesting to talk through. So, like, tell me about not what they are, but tell me about the concept of essential values for you and how you, kind of when and how they started forming in your mind.
Sure. It was a while back, and I was preparing to talk to a group of people, and not here at the church, and they asked me to share on, what are qualities or characters or values that are essential to the faith. And so immediately I just started thinking, what's been true in my own personal experience that have there's so many things that are good. There's so many disciplines that are good. There's so many practices that are helpful and good. But when I think of the essential ones, that these were very necessary in and are necessary in my development and continued development of the formation of Christ. And then I recognized, oh, these also exist. I see that, with some friends of mine and people who I love and admire who have also been on that journey with Christ too. So I remember jotting them down like, these are things that I don't think you can do it without it. You can grow, but the idea is that, we're talking in Ephesians in our church right now, and it talks about that those whom he predestined them to be conformed into those who he called, he predestined them to be conformed into the image of Christ, right? So never mind predestination for a second. The point is that the will of God is for us to be formed into the image of Christ. And that's for our benefit, and then that also helps us to spread that message to others as well. So these are 7 values that I find absolutely essential because I want to be about what really matters. When somebody says, hey, I'm serious about my walk with God and I really want to grow with God, I'll bring out these and say these need to be a part of your life in some degree. There's a whole bunch of other good things. These are essential in my opinion, in my humble opinion, and I mean that.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's cool, and I think I'd like to talk through them. But I do think it's interesting how powerful values are in life. Like, not even, I'm like, of course, with our faith as we're going to be going through and becoming like Christ, but in, people have family values. They have, your, like most corporate companies have work values. Like, what are the values of our company? And you can see in especially in organizations, you can see how values trickle down into how people act, right? So they're not just fun things to think about or um, philosophical points to ponder in life. They're if we have values that we actually believe in and we hold to them, they will direct our life. It's a they're a compass, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm really interested in diving into these that you've identified, um, because
Good.
I think it dictates values dictate how we act if we use them as a lens.
Yeah, that's a great point. The values will dictate how we act, so long as those values get off of the wall in the poster that we made for them and really get integrated into our lives. That they really are, and that's what this was. This wasn't a hey, this would be a good idea. This was a reflection of looking back and say, what has held me? What has held people that I know? What are things that these things are in common for people that I know who have that walk with Christ, right? That really
Yeah.
not just want to be a believer or whatever, but be formed into the image. And again, that's going to be a
Mhm.
lifelong process for certain.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into the first one.
Okay.
The first one that you have is genuineness. Genuineness. What does that mean to you?
Genuineness has everything to do with sincerity. That you know, God can spot a poser, and not that we're not trying to do anything other than approach God and our walk with God in a very genuine way, in a sincere way. You are where you are. You know what I'm saying? And so to pretend to be somewhere with Christ or in your walk or in your walk of obedience or anything else, in your commitments and all of it, stop. We are where we are. And once we just go, okay, this is where I'm at. Even with the life of Jesus here, there were people who were interested, who walked at a distance and kept their eye on him, who showed up for the big events and stuff like that. They're like, who is this guy? Let me check him out. Let me kick the tires. Or what's all this hoopla about? And that was fine. That's where they were at. And then there were followers, a lot, who followed him. They made journeys with him, and hundreds who followed. Some closer than others, but they were like beyond being just interested. They're following. They're leaving some things and following him. And then you had disciples, and real, close knit. And then you had the 12, and then you had, these three of Peter, James, and John. So everybody was at different places. And so where are you at? And be genuine about it. Be sincere about it. We can't, work our way or impress God. We need to be genuine. Here's where I want to be, but here's actually where I am. Peter, do you love me? Do you agape me? And Peter's like, yeah, no, you know what? You know all things. I don't. I phileo you. I have very strong, good, heartfelt affection. But no, my love is not unconditional. I just prove that. And Jesus says, all right, now I got you. There we go. I always saw that, Peter. I'm not discarding you because you're not where you want to be. You can't grow where you really want to grow until you're honest about where you're at now. So the first thing is just being genuine. We don't need to, and being genuine with others. Don't impress others too with your Christianity.
Yeah.
Just, you ever met that person?
I've been that person.
Good for you.
Yeah, I think it's funny actually how in every church I've ever been in, and that's not a knock on churches. It's just the reality of the Christian walk. There are people, and again, I've been this person where you act differently in front of them because you don't want them to know, like the dark corners of you, you know. So you, but then you go hang out with your friends the next day and you show all of you because you're not a like sometimes we're more afraid to be genuine in front of God um and other followers of Jesus than we are with our agnostic or atheist friends because we don't think they're going to judge us, but we think the people in the church will.
Jeez, how true, Dustin, and what an indictment too, because it's like the church ought to be the safest place on earth. This ought to be the place where you can be known. I hope we can reverse that. I think we can at least do our part in reversing that, because I mean, you love it, I love it, people love it when we meet somebody and we realize, oh, not, they're who they are. I just met the real person.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's cool. You're not trying to hide your warts. You're not overly being flamboyant with all your mistakes and just throwing it all out there. But it's just like,
Yeah.
you're just you. I met who you are
Yeah.
today, and God is into that.
Yeah.
That ought to be a hallmark characteristic of the church.
Oh yeah. I think it's a natural thing because we don't want to, it's like we almost don't want to be exposed as not being where other people are at with their faith or with our transformation. So we're just holding back, but we're not afraid to do that in front of other people. I think this kind of ties into authenticity when I think about like being genuine, but people often think of authenticity as like, this is who I am. And so this is who I am and will always be. I'm authentic. But it really, like, being genuine is, this is where I am while I'm trying to get to who Jesus is calling me to be. It's just where you're at in the journey. It's not that you're going to be genuinely this version of Dustin forever. It's that this is who Dustin is today while I'm working on becoming the next version. Yeah.
And the key is to do that first and foremost with God.
Yeah.
It's like lying to your psychologist. You're paying a therapist and then you go and lie when you're meeting with him. It's just pointless. So we're with God, who sees everything about us. He knows everything about us. And so being able to approach him. In fact, remember, when I think about this, I think about the story in John chapter 4 where he has this encounter with the Samaritan woman at the well. And they're having this discourse, and the whole, you've rightly said you don't have a husband. In fact, you've had 5, and the one you're living with now or being with now is not your husband. And this whole thing, you must be a prophet. He's like, oh, I'm way more than that. and she says, you Jews have this, we Samaritans have this, and on and on. And then Jesus says, and I'm going to read it because I love this. I looked it up just a minute ago again. He says, woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you will neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship what you do not know. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But, and I love this, the hour is coming, and now is, when true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father is seeking such to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and in truth. And it's like Jesus is saying, hey, look, pay attention to this. This is about to get very real. It's not about going to the Mecca. It's not about this mountain or what, Father Abraham gave us or what you got. It's not about any of that. It's not about the church on the corner of 6th and Montgomery. It's not about whatever church you go to. It's this. He's like Jesus saying, let me be real with you. The hour has arrived. No more of this other stuff. The hour has arrived where here's what the Father desires. He is seeking those who will worship him in spirit, because he's spirit, not just in soul, but in spirit, not just a mind thing, in spirit and in truth. In truth. You can't have a close relationship with somebody unless you are truthful with each other. You can have a drinking buddy or a fishing buddy or a shopping person that you go, whatever it is. But a true friendship where you're actually close, that's predicated upon your ability to be honest and genuine with each other. And it's no different. That's how God created us. So it's no different than when we think about our relationship with God. Am I being genuine with him? And so I would encourage anybody who's interested in their formation of Christ in their lives, start right there. God, here I am. Lord, I don't, like Peter said, I don't love you like I want to. I'm here, but God, I'm here. he already sees it, so he's not like, what? I thought you were away from, you know. So start with and maintain genuineness with him. That's
Yeah.
a launching pad.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. So I'm looking at the second one and it's commitment. Tell me about commitment.
Very, it's really when I think about this, I love. And I talk about the grace of God all the time because if you're going to walk with Him, you're going to fall into grace and fall into mercy on a daily. And so get used to it because you're going to need the grace of God, which is unmerited favor and blessing, things you didn't deserve. You're going to need the mercy of God all the time. The love of God is what transforms us. And yet, there's a place where you need to be, and I need to be, and come to that place in our lives where we just, all of a sudden, we also say, yeah, I thank you for all that you do for me, all that you've provided for me. But you know what? I need to make a commitment to. I'm in this. I give you my life. I'm going to be a work in progress, but there needs to come those places. We live in a very hedonistic world, right? And it always has been. And so we take care of ourselves. And if it's going to cause me to have to make a commitment, whether that's to fellowship with people or to, saying no to, whatever, sex before marriage for a young person, or to abstaining from the abuse of certain things in my life, going down lanes I know I ought not to. Quit waiting to feel and wait to feel strong enough to do that. At some point, just make a commitment. If you have to do that, and I have to do that. If you're going to join an athletic team, you're going to join a band, you're going to join anything, you need to make a commitment and say, I'm in. I'm in. And we're not saved because of that, but you won't get anything out of it unless you make a bona fide commitment. Like, Lord, I'm not wondering if I'm yours. I'm not negotiating with that. I give you my life. I mean that. I'm gonna be a work in progress, but I need to make a commitment. And without a commitment, you won't grow. You won't grow.
Yeah. I like that frame of thought a lot about like commitment's not what saves you, but it's what starts the transformation process and keeps that going. It's like we if we don't yeah, I mean it's like trying to okay, a good example. Lots of people start like guitar lessons at some point in their life. I took guitar lessons when I was like 12, 13, and I did it for a while. Like I committed for a bit, but then I kind of was like, okay, like, I got the basic chords down. I can kind of just, fiddle with it. But then what happens is you just plateau and stop. And so I have the same skill level now at 36 as when I was like 14. It doesn't mean I can't pick up a guitar and play a little bit, but I certainly stopped the transition of becoming a guitarist, right? Like there's this level of commitment required to to transform and learn that we just don't get if we don't buy in.
Yeah, you do the same thing. I know you're you know, committed to workout sessions in the gym and things like that. You only get results if you commit. You can't just, and it can't be a verbal commitment. Oh, I believe in the gym. I believe what it has the potential to do in my life. I thank the gym for being there for me. But you never go to the gym. You gotta,
Yeah.
you gotta.
You gotta kiss the iron, baby.
You, and you notice I'm talking about your relationship with the gym and not my non-existent one. But it's the same way with Christ. It's like, he says, do not be conformed into the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? So that we can begin to test and approve and see what the will of God is and know this will of God and all of this kind of stuff. It says, well, the impetus is on us in the beginning. Do not. He's sparking out. Don't be conformed to the patterns of this world. Like you were, now you have to choose not to be. And it's not just trying to say no to the things of this world, but instead be transformed. How? By the renewing of my mind. I need to put off and I need to put on. And that takes a commitment to say, I'm in this. You have that in a marriage where you make commitments. It's more than that, but you make commitments so that on bad days or bad seasons, you're not bailing. Why? Because you said some vows. And so
Yeah.
it's the same way. We can't get aside that. We're wired for it. We understand at a very intrinsic level in our hearts, in our lives, that commitment is absolutely necessary to see results. And so
Mhm.
genuineness, I need to be genuine in this, but I need to make a commitment. I'm in this. God, I belong to you. Good days, bad days, I'm in. And one other thing I'll say about this idea of commitment, it's not just a one and done. So our life with him is going to be going, okay, all right, I need to get serious about this. This is going to benefit the work of Christ in my life. This is going to benefit me as a human being. This is going to benefit others. I need to get serious about it. I need to make a commitment here. God, I'm in. It's still by grace. I still need him to strengthen me in my inner man. I'm praying for that, but it won't happen unless I go, yes, you have my yes, Lord. So does God have
Mhm.
our yes? I'm in.
That's so good. What was like coming to mind. I just have baby stuff on the mind because aren't you know
Judah.
little Judah's turning 3 next week, and then we got Levi coming out of the oven in a month or so.
Wow.
But I was thinking about like the moment that a baby comes out, and like they're in the world now, and they're like, rightfully so, kind of freaking out, and they're like disoriented, and everything's different, but they still have there's that 30 seconds where the umbilical cord is still attached. So it's like there's this halfway point of like I'm out here, but I'm still connected back there. But then the doctor has to cut the cord,
Cut the
right?
cord.
Like it's time to be out here now. Your time in there is done. It's time to be out here now. Got to make the commitment.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. You know what? I think, what about if we just do one more for today?
Yeah, it's great.
And then
Let's
we'll go
do.
into the rest on the next
That
podcast.
sounds good. Yeah, we'll do a part 2. I love that.
Okay.
Um, okay, so third on your list here is community. Community.
100%. You cannot grow. I mean, if you're in solitary confinement and you've got no opportunity to have community in your life and you're in prison for the next 23 years and all you got is you, God will be there with you and you'll grow, But we need community in our lives to grow. We need other people. And I, I, I realized the significance of this one time I was speaking at I don't know if it was I think it was like a rehab for Christian men or just rehab for men in general. And and I started thinking before I went, I remember going, why have I made it? Because I was a mess when I was a young man. And I've had plenty of ups and downs and I will have ups and downs in the future, but I'm still here. I'm with him. I'm walking with him. I've had, you know, a good life. Why? It's not because I'm a strong-willed person or I really just did this Christianity thing the right way. No. No. What I would not be here without people. The thing that happened to me that is so beautiful is when I came to Christ, true faith in Christ. As messy as I real soon, only about a year after getting released from incarceration, I went into Bible college. And I met friends. And I was in this environment where people were focused on God and talking about God and praying and serving their community. And I just got kind of baptized into that community and got friends in there and true relationships. And over the course of a few years, it's like, oh, this became my reality. because I wasn't alone, just trying to do better. I was surrounded by it. Some of those people are still my closest friends. And so I've seen it ever since then that we can't do this alone. We need people, you know. AA knows that. That's why they go to groups and have people that, are like-minded, struggling with certain things. And so people say, well, my church is the beach. No, it's not. No, it's not. My church is the mountains. No, 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 it's not. No, it's not. I mean, I love the beach and the mountains, but nope. My church is the body of Christ, wherever it might meet, but my community is the body of Christ. And I need, as each one supplies, we grow into the fullness of Christ. We need what others have, and they need what you have. We won't do it without community. We cannot grow into that measure without having community in our lives. You agree?
Yes, I totally agree. I remember years ago, kind of during COVID, or just as we were peeking around the corner of all of that, and um, one thing that was interesting is just the hunger for community during that time and right
Oh,
after. Um, Gosh, I mean, it's hard to be stuck, and I even had, Jackie to hang out with during that. A lot of people are single and just
mm,
trapped alone, for extended periods of time. There's just like a hunger to be around people, to like hug someone, to all of that. And of course, it's not like the church died during COVID because it couldn't be in person. There's still you know I remember a lot of my friends and I would do like group Zoom calls, a couple of times a week, and just play games or something. You can still connect with people, but something about just like getting getting around people, worshiping God together, um, having the having the gifts of yours and of others to lift one another up. Um, and I remember thinking about this around that time, just like the concept of, the body of Christ, if it's like a body. But imagine then if you take that body and start chopping all the limbs off and throwing them in different directions, it's like at some point it becomes not a body, right? You have if you got an ear over here and four toes over here, and you're just kind of scattered limbs, and a body can't get very far apart from itself. So this kind of like limbs and bodies everywhere kind of scenario. Um,
that's a very graphic.
yeah, yeah. I didn't talk about the blood, but
Limbs and people I notice, and I probably the number one reason, or some say, so I've tried that before and I got hurt, or a bunch of hypocrites, and I get that the human beings in general, they're the ones who bring damage, and beings are also ones who bring healing. And so, to anybody who might be listening, say, you know what, I've been hurt too many times. I get it. I really feel for that, and I'm sorry that that has happened to you. However, because God uses people to bring healing in our lives and to bring us into a formation of Christ, He uses people. Boy, don't make it a negotiable. Make it a non-negotiable. Try again. There are really good people out there who love the Lord and who will embrace you in community. If the place where you're attending at your church is not that way, then maybe they are. Maybe you just need to try again with a different group or whatever else, or find some place where you can, because you need it in your life. And it's worth risking to take that scary step and sign up for, that outing or that event or that group that's meeting on Tuesday nights. If you go and you don't like it, you don't have to go back or whatever. But maybe you will. I've watched so many people here, even at our church. I meet people and they said, you know what? I have driven to the church building. Oh gosh, every Sunday for the last 3 months. And right when I get here, I make a U-turn and I go back home because I'm too scared. They had experiences. I had one person say, yeah, I walk around here. I've been thinking about coming here for a year. I've come to the church front doors and turn around and go, I'm just scared. People are wounded. They're scared. But then they just come in, So everybody ought to have the benefit of having friends in their lives. And I encourage you to keep trying that and keep moving towards that, because we need that in our lives. Just people that you can love and people that can love you. And it's never too late to venture out into that again. So I encourage you for that. It's an essential value. Genuineness, be genuine with God. Commitment, go for it. Give God your yes, and don't do it alone. Get in community. Start simple if you need to, but start building that in life. Those are 3 things. I look forward to getting to the other 4, but those are 3 things that, boy, they've helped me so much, and I know they've helped others. I've seen them in your life as well, Dustin. So that's my encouragement. Let's start with those 3.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, well, we'll catch up for part 2 and give people the rest of the secret list.
The secret list. All right, my friend. See you next week.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Everyone Should Know. At Everyone, we believe what the Bible says in Genesis 1, that God created humanity in his image and likeness, which means we are all Imago Dei, image bearers of God. Our mission as a nonprofit organization is to see everyone valued, reached, encouraged, and integrated into community, because we believe everyone matters. To learn more about how we're working to accomplish that mission and to join the movement, go to everyonemovement.com. That's everyonemovement.com.